Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back into the Dragon's Den. My name's Digital Dragon. Hope everyone's doing well this weekend and having a great and fantastic weekend. Great day here at Dragon Den, Digital Dragon 3D here in Sanford, North Carolina. Gotten a lot of stuff done today. A lot of new faces coming in and visiting the shop today, so that was nice. We had a surprise visit, a little bit of a drive-by visit by Layer. I was sitting here talking to a customer, checking them out, and I happened to look out, and I was like, I know that person. So yeah, Layer stopped by today on his way from Florida back home. So that was a very nice surprise. Glad to have him here today. So is anybody out there? I believe Steve was doing a stream earlier this afternoon. I don't know if he's still going on. He was doing, I believe, the Casadio Subaru build. Meanwhile, I was over there watching and listening to Alex from Projects and Dad's Garage work on the Stealth Changer. Hey, Maker Viking. And I was working on swapping out the extruder assembly on a Bamboo Lab H2S. Came in, complaint was inconsistent extrusion. It was throwing various errors. I printed with it all day yesterday, didn't have a single error thrown, no extrusion issues. Contacted the customer today and they were, for peace of mind, please swap out the extruder, it's worth the $80. So we swapped out the extruder. I will say I thought I had everything disconnected well, and apparently I did not get all of the tiny short ribbon cable. Here, let me show you what I'm talking about. So, tiny short ribbon cable. Right down here, it's kind of torn off. Right here. So, as you can see, this is stuck to my finger. I got this portion detached. I did not get this portion detached from the 3M tape. And so when I pulled the extruder out, I actually ripped this ribbon cable. New one went in, no problem. This one, I did take it apart and look at it. There was nothing physically wrong that I could tell with this extruder. Other than said ripped cable. And I've gone ahead and ordered a replacement part. You can't get just this cable. It's this whole little piece right here that the PTFE tube goes in. So this is the filament runout sensor. So I have a new one of these coming in so I can replace that for the customer. But I see nothing wrong with this other than the extruder gears were dry as a bone. So we went ahead and put some grease on those, lightly greased them up. But yeah, hope everyone's doing well. Hey, Eagle, how are you doing? Weather is doing good, but it looks like it is changing to a rainstorm. We're getting ready to storm. Hey, Jim Macrobot, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Comics, how's it going? Welcome in. I also wanted to mention before we get into the build today, the folks over at Tyson Build Plates reached out to me, actually as the company, Digital Dragon 3D, and said, we would like to send you a couple of build plates, samples. They want to know if we want to stock them in the store. So I just got a couple of those build plates, I think 2 days ago, and I was printing some stuff, and I said, you know what? I'm swapping filaments out and stuff. Let me swap the build plate out as well. So one side of the Tyson build plate, and then the other side. These things are thick. Like, you're not bending these like a typical build plate, right? These things are thick. However, as you can see, just barely flexing them the amount that I did, and everything is just popping right off. You get a beautiful shiny finish. So, it might be. It is definitely a thick and stiff plate. I'm going to put this over here. The parts that I just showed you are the secondary parts for the overland camper build out. So I will be doing a full second cab and the overland camper parts as well. So that I have the option when we get there. So, hey Nick, welcome on in. Tech Cheaper, how's it going? Is it coated? It is coated. There is a coating on it. It looks like it's sprayed on one side, and it's almost like there's an overspray on the back side. I don't think it's a double-sided build plate. I'll have to do a little bit more research. I'm not even sure which versions they sent to me, other than, you know, one's a bamboo build plate and the other's for the Q2. I specifically asked for the Q2. They said most of their samples are bamboo, but they were able to get me a Q2 build plate. So that goes to show that they're definitely interested in talking to me, because I sell a lot more Kiti than I do bamboo. The super crazy one is up to 230C. Yeah, I don't need that one yet, not for this build, but I did see that they also, and I never knew this, they have what they called the Tyson hats, which are like, it looks like metal hoods that go down on top with convective air capability to add chamber heaters. And I'm like, that is something I may look at for some builds. But yeah, we're doing good. Yeah. So let me. Yeah, I really don't want to go over there just yet, just because keyboard and everything's a little bit further away, and there's something in the way. It looks like a Unimog. So even if I get the keyboard, I have to like type holding with one hand, which is a pain. But where we left off on the Unimog build, on Thursday night, we got our shock towers put in place. We got all three of our axles put in place with the drive shafts, the 4-link suspensions, and as well as the springs put in place. But without shocks, right, everything gets a little bit loose. So we're going to need to get some shocks on here. Now, the shocks, these 4 have already been done. I did them off stream, partly to make sure I could, and then partly to reduce the chances of me spilling stuff all over myself, because I know me. So what I'm going to try and do is grab this skin out of the way. We'll push this slightly back. We're going to take these two springs here. So this side comes off pretty easy. But you just get to the arm and the seal. You have to take this side off, which was a lot harder to get off. But once you get this side off, there is your spring that we're going to take out. And chances are there is a little bit of oil still in here. There was a little bit of oil in these. I actually don't have anything here now to dump it in, so I'm just going to grab a little bin and we'll see if there's anything that needs to come out. Nope. All right, good. So there is a tiny bit of oil down there, but nothing major. We'll take this one out. Everyone's a little bit different. Hey Pete, how's it going? Every one of the shocks that I've been looking at online and everything are a little bit different. You either have them full of oil and you may need to get rid of oil. So this one right here had a little bit of an oil in it. Since we don't know if it's the same oil that we're putting in it, that's why we're going to try and drain it out. So some of them will have a little bit of oil, some of them won't. It's all good. I'm going to need some more rags. It's going to be one of those days. We'll have rags, we'll have some IPA, and we'll do the things that we're not supposed to do, like wash our hands with IPA. But what the heck? You're stressed out and exhausted? Yeah. Doesn't hurt to remove the oil, but no big deal. Well, and the thing is I don't like mixing oils if I don't have to, just because I don't know what the weight is. I don't know what the composition is. And I try and get as much as possible out. And it does not take much to fill these up. And what I'm trying to do is get them just to the bottom of the threads where the lids are going to go in. And then I don't know if this is how it's supposed to be, but this is what I am doing. Slowly. You don't want to go fast because you can squirt this everywhere. I'm just driving the piston fully up and bringing it back down very slowly. The point that I'm trying to do here is get any air from underneath that's still left in the shock out. And then I'll top this off. Both of those drop down a little bit. Tap the sides of the shock, will shake the air up. Yeah. You can do that too. Tap the side of the shock. Like flicking a needle. Now, from doing the other four, right? Getting them so it just crests, the ring where the thread starts is the best point for me that I've found. If you go way up into the threads, then of course as you put the top of the shock on, it's going to squirt it up and over the side and you make a big mess. And I'm trying my best not to pour oil all over the place. Now there is an O-ring on this cap as well. And as you start to get it in to seal, you should just see a little bit of oil popping up around that end. See if I can show this before it runs down half the shock. All right, so we've got a little bit of oil that's up and out. We're just going to wipe that off. Check the movement of our spring. You get quite a bit more oil that came out of that, so let's see if we can't. Don't forget to pull the springs back in, right? I think that one is good now. Saying you want me to go ahead now I've added a little bit more oil and push these back up again. Yeah, I'm interested to see CinderCAD and possibly play around with it some. Just haven't announced it yet, but it is out there. I think we're good there. Got those two. We've got the other 4 as well. Some of these, hopefully I don't have air in them. We'll take a look at them again. And no air bubbles in it. I think we're good. Correct. The way it says is unscrew the red ring and remove the internal spring. This project does not require the internal spring. So the internal springs do not go back in. But we will have plenty of oil to do maintenance on this project. I'm going to have oil all over me and all over the place. Okay. Now, I'm probably going to wind up keeping the springs and doing something with the springs down the road. Who knows? But for now, we're going to do the do as I say, not as I do. You should not do this at home. Don't rinse your hands off with IPA. Especially don't do it if you think you might have a paper cut. Ooh, that hurts when you do that. That'll help get some of the gunk off our hands for right now. Well, and remember, we're not using the springs in the shocks because we kind of have some pretty beefy strings. I mean, these are not like crazy resistive springs, but these combined with the shocks are going to be pretty good for the overall weight. Folks, give me 1 second. I do want to double check that Mrs. Dragon did lock me in when she left. Okay. All right. So we've got our springs ready to go. We've got a little bit of extra oil here. We'll put that somewhere. We'll forget. We'll dump that all over the place a little bit later. Next up. Next up is going to be the shock install. We're going to use M3x16s. Now he says, I assemble the shocks upside down, meaning with the cylinder at the bottom versus at the top. but the orientation's up to you. The setup increases the shock wear because dirt can accumulate on the top edge. So what he's saying is, if you do it like this, smaller area down here where dirt can get caught on. If you do them like this, like he did, there's a lot more surface area where dirt can get caught up on this and collect. So we're going to go ahead and do ours like this. It wants us to start off at the front, and once again we're going to do M3 by 16, and wow, there was a lot of grease all over that one. I'm glad I just cleaned my hands. That was fabulous. All right, 2 shocks, well lubricated. Oh, M3 by 16. Okay. Hope we don't need a lot of these because I've only got 2. M3 by 16, one side of the shock. And once again, we're going to do it with the shock arm itself down. And we're going to go into the lower printed arm piece first. Great, but it's going to get old real quick. What do I do with the rest of the bits? Bits, 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 bits. Move this over to there, that over there as well. Make this go a little bit faster here. There we go. 1 M3 by 16, and at the top we need M3 by 25. All right, one side done. Now we need to come in and do it on the other side. Myself a little bit of room. All right. There's the one piece. Now let's see what we do for the others, because I don't have much in the way of M3 hardware left. Shock install. Repeat the same steps for the front right. Yep, just did. 2 M3 by 20. M3 by 20s. All right, and this will be M3 by 20s for the rest of everything. We're going to grab another shock. And what I'll do is I'll do this side so you can see what I'm doing. So we're going all the way down here and then up to this point. Okay. Go ahead and do the next one on this side, and then we'll come back over and do the 2 on this side. Just going in and making sure that these are tightly sealed up. The portal axle is kind of in the way of getting a straight shot at that. Grab. That's not going to have enough oomph-y to it. Do we have a... You need a 2.5, not a 2 millimeter driver, Luke. Here's 2.5 millimeter. Yeah, like I said, I'm following the directions. I do know that I've talked to some of the other folks in the RC hobby that are around this area, and they really like this build and the amount of detail that's in it. But they were all like, well, I don't need the kit. I have all of this, that, and the other. I just need the files. So I told them where to go get the files, and I will be interested to see how many I see here at the next RC maker meetup that we do. Because there will be another one of those. All right, and last shock. So, Jim and Palms, how's everything going with you today? You guys have any fun projects you've been working on? All right, now we can lift it up and got some good shock absorption. All righty. Good shock absorption stuff. Oy. All right, hands aren't too greasy. So let's see what's up next. Feet for the right corner. Yep. We did them all. We get to install some bumpers on the front. So we'll pick this up and turn this around. I think we're done with our M3, so I can get this bit put back away. And we're going to have some bumper pieces going top and bottom. A couple of M2 by 10s. Slide right between there. Get these in place on both sides. All right. All right, so it wants us to basically do it top and bottom on both sides. I'm going to flip this over. We'll do the bottom two, making sure that we're lining up this little cutout here when we do. Oh, you little... Alrighty. And flip this back over. And we're going to need some bumper section. First section we're going to be putting on is this one. This cutout is where this hook goes. Okay. M2x6 from the top. Preparing parts for the Mammoth Nerf blaster. The hardware kit should arrive hopefully in the next week or so. Right now you're putting a Core 1 together so it's ready for the Index Spruce upgrade 4 tool. Nice, nice. I've got a Core 1 that I built a while, or I guess a couple months back. It sits over there on the main printer lineup, showing off some of the builds that I've done. And this one is not lining up. Definitely not lining up nicely on this side. There's a little bit of play in these holes, but not a lot. All right, that made almost zero difference. If it fights, just force it. Yeah, I wanted to do index on that printer. However, with what I'm hearing on the index stuff right now, I'm just going to let it sort itself out before I order index for it. And so I pulled the MMU3 off of my Mark IV with the intent of putting it on the, with the intent of putting it on the Core 1, and I just hadn't. And now they've got the index kit available. And like I said, I haven't pulled the trigger, partly because of everything going on at the store. And it's just, I cannot have as many projects lying around anymore. All right. Let's, bigger. Yeah, that's what I thought. I have 0 visible hole on this side. None. We'll see if we can't just tap some then. Took a bit longer than I wanted, but it did it. There we go. They don't seem to fit, make them fit. Okay, now we're going to have some bumpers. And shows us this one where we've got the 2 bigger light holes on the top and the 2 smaller ones on the bottom. So when these get printed, they're all individual. This is printed using the clear TPU with the documented settings in the kit. They are made that you can put LEDs in here. I'm not 100% sure of the size, whether like 3 or 4 millimeter LED bulb itself. But you can add LEDs to these. I do not have any at the moment. So for now, they're going in without. And just because I like to do things differently than the manual, because I know the manual is going to say, do this to side A, and then, all right, do this to side B. Now go back and basically figure out all the screws that you need. I'm just going to set all these down in there. Okay. M2x6. So M2x6 screws. Obviously it's bigger, smaller. Bigger, smaller. These are made so that you have slots that the wires can go through and keep your LEDs held in nicely and still have the wires come out. So get those set in there. We set them 2x6. I don't know that I will go through and put LEDs in, but it's pretty cool that there's the option to. You finally got Jabberwocky installed on your Trident 300 that was updated to the R2. Nice. I was looking at my Tridents going, okay, which one am I going to upgrade to R2? And then I'm going, okay, this one has an all-metal, all-wheel drive gantry with a, which tool head? Takeoff tool head and a tube on it. And then the other one is my, I'll say my, yeah, it's my, it's Iron Dragon. It's my Trident 300 that has my old logo side panels on it that KB3D sent me. And I've got the smoked out panels on it. It's the one I normally use for doing various beta testing and stuff, because that way it used to sit right behind me on stream when I was streaming from the house and you wouldn't be able to see it. Yes, so slots are open to insert your wires through it, and then it acts as a clamp on the, and there's a spot right here that you can run a zip tie through. So you get all your wires going, you bring them down here, you zip tie them together and bring them right down the chassis. So for now, we're going to install these. They're going to slide right onto these ears here. And make sure that your bigger lights are at the top. And M2x8 from the top. Why are you not going anywhere? Yeah. Thank you. Went for Moji Trident that I self-sourced to R2. You have 2 box turtles waiting for printers. You're waiting for both your Micron and Trident to have some print time on them to wear and everything. Yeah, I've got several box turtles that I built. I have several that I need to rebuild. There's one that we brought down to the store, and I don't know what happened, but it's been moved around so many times that it, yeah, like all the corners broke on it, and it's like falling apart. Okay, so 2x8 from the top and 2x8 from the bottom. So we'll flip this over again. See us doing this a lot. All right, there we go. Repeat for the other side. And we did. Now we're going to install, I believe this is the beginning of the skid plate. What are we looking at? We need this bracket, one of those, okay. Yeah. So we're seeing this side here, 2, 1, the 3 larger holes on this face. And we want to make sure that our arrow is up when we line this up and install this. We're going to go in with M2 by 10s. And we're just going to line this up because symmetrical parts just scream to me that we're going to do the same thing over again. Okay, so there we go. Oh, hey, look, we did the other side. So once again, double check that our arrow is facing up at these 2 little tabs here. We're going to install the skid plate underneath. And there's 4 holes right here, which is where these tabs are going to line up at. And there's these little hooks right here. And these are going to hook around the back side of these weird little plates that we put in before. Make sure that those are hooked. Everything should line up here. M2 by 16s from the side. So in this case, we're going through the PET CS side and into that bracket. Same thing from this side. All right, everything nice and tight there. And M2 by 8 from underneath. Yeah, it's always good to run in a new printer before adding a bunch of other stuff to it. Just make sure all the mechanics are working in. So that's an awesome plan there. Okay. So the initial skid plates there. We're going to start working on the rear bumper. So let's take this and flip it over this way. Okay. Now these red pieces were printed in a translucent PETG that I had. I believe it was glass ruby red from EPAC. So this is not the red that came in the kit. What we're looking for is the side that has the holes for the lights for the rear lights. We're going to grab the clear one and push that through so that lines up there. We're going to do that to both sides just because we know it's going to tell us to. Bumper installs. Light, bumper piece, and then a backing piece. Where are the backing pieces at? Yep, that looks like them. Should probably just leave this up here somewhere. All right, so we've got this light. We need this one. Okay. So interesting. So I want to show you this. Hole. What you're going to do is you're going to put your wires through here as you line this up, because once that's in there, it almost looks like keyhole sockets. So the bulb is over here and your wires are going to be exiting through the larger hole. And then they'll be able to come down here, zip tie point, I believe. And these are M2 by 16s. Okay, so there's going to be one of the rear lights. We'll go ahead and get the other one assembled while we're here. Hey, Tinkering Techie, how's it going? How are you doing? Hope we get to see you tomorrow. Not sure who all we'll have out here tomorrow, but we'll have some people, I'm assuming, come by to hang out, check out the MOG and the new X-Wing fighter. All right, so there's the other tail light. This would actually look pretty cool with the LEDs in it. So I'm going to try and figure out what LEDs to use here. So once again, there is this open channel here that all your wires will be able to come out. I'm not sure if this is going to be mounting points or what, but we'll find out here shortly. But I have a feeling we're going to be doing something like this. Oh, there you go. We're going to be putting in a couple of side braces. Okay, so this end, like that, in 2x16s. You'll be there? Good. Good, we look forward to seeing you. We've had a lot of fun the last couple of days, a lot of cool people. As I mentioned earlier, we had a visit from Layer by Layer today. Completely unexpected. He was driving through, so he figured he'd stop by. He's like, we're this, he's coming down the main highway. He's like, we're this close, we can't not stop by. So, all right, so the left side stays in the part, the right side will stick out ever so slightly, but it's obviously in a place where it's not going to matter. We will go ahead and do the other side in the mirror image. Yeah, one day I'd love to go over and see Dan, Neokoi Prince setup when he finally gets it all done, where he's going to have the, I think it was the Micron that's going to have the 4 tool heads, and his plan is to put a box turtle on each of the 4 tool heads, so he'll wind up with 16 colors. Like that'll be really cool. Okay, M4 by 12. We're going into the ends of the tail plate here. Start on this side, which is what they're telling us to do. So Micron has 3 currently. I thought he was doing 24 colors with 6 box turtles. It might be. That might be what his in-game is. I just know it's going to be badass. So you see me final tightening these by hand, and that's just so we, with the power tool, you stand a good chance of doing one of two things. Either one, pulling the head of the screw into the part and just keep drilling right through with the screw, or two, it gets in there, it stops, but it continues to spin, and you basically strip the threads out of the part. So I did this side. We're going to go ahead and do the other side while we're here. And I'm using a Fantic cordless screwdriver, lithium ion powered, and it has adjustable torque ratings. So this is the lowest level, 0.5 Newton meter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you can get a whole lot of torque out of this. And right now I've had it set at 1 Newton meter. And I find that that's able to get this driven in without too many problems. And like I said, I come in at the end and finish tighten by hand just to make sure that I can feel the torque that I'm putting on the screw and not strip anything out. Yeah, like I said, I still need to work on the stealth changer. I've had it, and it's one of those things where I need to bring myself to just bear down and do the, start digging into the configs. So I just need some motivation. So we're going to flip this over, and we're going to do 4 M2 by 16s, 2 on each side. And these are some pretty sturdy and beefy plates going into the uprights of the frame. So that's going to really lock in our taillights. Okay. That be done. We need to put together the air tank, which is not in here, but down here. Aye. So we're looking for the right part of the air tank that's showing us. So see if I can orientate this to you guys. So we've got the angle piece off to the right. The hanging bracket here means we need to put in one of our caps on this side. And kind of looking the way this is probably going to mount, I'm going to take our seam line here and face that in this way, because this is most likely going to be the side where where it's going to mount to the frame. You know, I'm quite honestly going to do the other one as well, like we've been doing all along. Tell me to do the one, I am going to do the other two. Okay, so there's our pieces. Okay, I'm looking at our rear bumper side. This one, rear bumper, yet it's right side up. So let me flip her back over again. The rear bumper side. And these go into the last two screws here. Means these are going to be facing out. And we're going to do M2x16s again. License plate frame. Not that one. This one. So, looks like license plate frame. We're going to put it through these two holes here in 2x8s. Where'd my other driver roll off to? Oh well. I yeeted off the front. Oh, right in front of me. Your stealth changer still needs the 5 tool head wiring finished, the umbilical run, the fanny pack moved down, and all the software. Yeah, so I've got, everything is wired up except for the sex ball. I need to make final decision on where I'm going to put sex ball, wire that up, and then start. The software config is primarily there. I'll have to update, of course, with where sex ball goes, but I'm pretty close to the whole shebang there. Wants us to repeat the same steps on the other side, which means M2 by 16. And there is not a license plate holder over on that side. It's just the air tank. You selected the 4x4 configuration. You can install the rear bumper following the same final steps of the 6x6 on the previous page. Okay. Our frame is complete. We now have the basic frame with our rock guards, our shocks, our springs. Everything is now in place. Now we're going to start adding some covers and parts, and I'll flip this around. Oh, she's starting to get heavy. We'll flip her around. We're going to start installing some parts up here and some other parts that will be supportive of the electronics package, which is that part in here. No. Electronics tray. This should all be for the bed frame. Give me 1 second. Un momento, por favor. I've got that stuff. That's all the overland, or the stuff for the roof rack. Was there a few more things? Oh, that sucks. Well, sort of sucks. All right. We're going to need some of these parts anyhow, so we'll bring them over here. As I mentioned, I have been printing parts for a new cab, and the main color for the cab is EPAX Matte Pet G Khaki. So we're going to do khaki, dark gray, black for the window trims and stuff, and then a latte brown matte for the chairs, the upholstery type pieces. But the piece that I need is at the bottom of all this. So let me dump this out over in the other container. Okay. This would be the piece that we were looking for, the little 3-step piece. And these are zip tie hold down points already baked in. Check that out. And this is just going to go around the shock mount areas, lay down in here, and we'll have 6 screw places to tie that in. And this is going to keep the electronics from getting any dirt or water or anything. M2 by 10. One to start locking it in. Oh, of course. So 2 by 10 down by the shock tower mount, and I probably won't be able to get to it with the driver. And 2 by 6s up here, which means we're probably going to do a 10 and 6s up here. Just telling me to do one side at a time. You got the Gen 2 Ember Prototypes offset camera. Yeah, I've got a couple of the CNC, or what, not CNC, CXC cameras. I might do that as well. I had one for the black box tool changer, and then of course one on the rat rig, which is physically installed in the rat rig. So it stays there. And then repeat for the other side. Yep. 10 and 2 6s. Sweet. Here's a 6. And I might be able to get it started at least. There are little gaps on the side. I think that would be allowable to bring our lights. It's either going to come up here, up and over, or it's going to come in through these little side channels if you did the lights. Frame parts here or over there. Looks like that. Is there one for the other side too? Probably. All right, so we're going to go in the lower 3 holes on this. M2 by 16. What are we going at on here? Way back here. Okay. And I believe these are the part of the cab mounting points that we're installing right here. So I believe, don't hold me to it, but I believe those are the cab mounting points. All righty. Frame parts, repeat for the other side. Done and done. Muffler assembly. All right. Muffler. Not that. Whoops. So muffler pieces. No, not that one. That one. Okay. This is the piece to countersunk here, and my countersunk there. Come in this direction with M2 by 16. All right. Now we need that other bracket that I threw back in here. All right, so this is facing down. There's that. Think that on like there. M2 by 16. you're building one of these, you definitely need a cordless screwdriver. You'll have carpal tunnel by the end of your first build session if you don't. And 2x16 reinforcing screw in the muffler pipe, okay? The new one. Will slightly restrict the airflow. Alrighty. Make sure it will point upwards. Okay. So, kind of going like that. Okay, we'll make the full upwards journey here in a minute. Front bumper, motor. All right. So there's two little mount points here. I'm assuming this piece is going to go on that. And this is going to line up with that mount there. M2x16s. Hey, Brad, or I'm sorry, Brian Guthrie. Oh. I regretted not using an electric screwdriver, but I did use your ratcheting LTT screwdriver. It worked really well. Your wrists were definitely tired. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Your wrist would have probably been screaming at you. All right, so we're tied down here, not on the outside just yet. We're going to bring in some M2x16s from the side. Tie this in to this side. Yeah, it would be one thing if everything was PLA, but I did a bunch of PET carbon fiber for the frame and the mount points. So going through the PLA part would have been easy, but then you hit that PET CF part and just cutting threads in that is decidedly more difficult. Okay, that's pretty rigid in there. Now we're going to need some things that look like stairs. That piece. That piece. Probably be some companion pieces like that one and that one. But we're going to start with the piece that has the two cutouts and two cutouts. Oh, there we go. 2 cutouts, one on the left, one on the right with your 3 screw holes here. And we're going to take the panel, that'll be this one, line up on it like that. And what are we going to do? We're going to do M2 by 8. How's it going, Bearded Printer? Welcome on in. Hope you're doing well. Hope you are doing well. Will I be able to get to this third one, or we got plenty of room? All right. The arrow pointing outwards identifies the correct orientation of the part. Okay. We're going to take this, and this gets installed on this side of the frame. Lovely. That'll be fun. I guess let's go ahead and get its mirror image done as well while we're at it. That way it'll save us some problems or save us some issues from going back and forth and trying to figure out which screws we needed. The biggest feedback I have on this kit and the instructions is do operation A, B, C, D across 4 different pages, and then go do the same thing for the mirror opposite. Well, I've used 4 different size screws in different places, so now I have to scroll back using the other parts and try and figure out the order of operations when it should just be saying do this twice, do this 3 times, or something like that right up front. Okay, so this side looks like it's coming in on here. All right. I'm going to turn this around so that I'm making sure I'm putting this in the right spot. So sorry, I know this is not going to be as good for you all. Kind of sounded weird. Okay, we're going to do M2 by 12. And I think I am going to have an issue getting these in because of the way this is at. So this piece right here has this cutout and then the other partial cutout at the top. Those actually nestle around existing screws and will help line this part up. And yeah, I think I'm going to have a problem getting these. Yep, I'm going to have to do these by hand. Unless, do I have... Let's see if this works. This might actually work better. Give me a little bit longer reach. All right, that feels good. Check that part orientation. Yep. Now we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. And once again, I'm breaking the, it's telling me to do another piece here. I want to actually keep doing these so I don't have to keep going back and forth, back and forth. So I'm going to flip this over. That's going to go right there, M2 by 12. Yeah, this thing is 1,007 millimeters long. It is pretty insane. Pretty insane. All right. Now, it wants me to install one of these pieces. I'm going to have to blow this up some more so I can see where. All right, so it's going around this bracket. So around the bracket like that. And I believe we were using M2 by 12s for this as well. All right. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side as well. Once again, it's going to tell me to do multiple things and then go back and do it for the other side just the same way. So I'm not going to remember all the different size screws and stuff. Welcome in, Matt Owl. How are you doing? We're doing pretty good. We're making some good progress on the Unimog here. I mean, we almost have we're getting close to putting tires on, and then we'll have a full rolling chassis, but we're starting to put some frame pieces in that'll prep us to do some wiring. All right, so we got that piece in. Now we need the ladder. It's the right ladder piece. Flip it around, and it's going to mount right out here using some M2x8s. Yeah, it really is massive, but think of everything that you can carry around with it, right? It is a big build, but you will have the ability to use it to carry some things around. Groceries, printers, little toolboxes. Small children. All right. M2x8, we'll need 4 of those for this side. And we're just doing the rinse and repeat. All right, and these are actually like the mud flaps or the rear of the wheel wells. You could probably teach your dog to ride it. Hell, a cat would probably ride on it. All your frame stuff was PC-ABS blend. Yeah, my frame is PETCF, partly from Shirayatech and then from Keedy. So all the cross members are the PET CF. The shock towers, all the way around are PET CF. The drive shafts were PET CF. The gears, all the gears were Overture Easy Nylon. The gear housings were PLA, Bamboo Basic Black PLA. And then a lot of the interior accoutrements and stuff wound up being like a matte black PLA. All right, now see, we did all of that with different size screws and everything, and now it says repeat it for the other side. Really? Okay, we're going to need a gas tank. A gas tank. And a blue lid or a gas tank. So, gas tank, blue lid. M2x10. Okay. M2x10 reinforcing screw. Going to go on this little frame hanger. And of course, this is going to go on one of the ladders. And it's going to be this one over here because this is the only one that does not have, or has the holes in the side, which means I need to take this one back off. Oops. Fine, there is a method to their madness. It's still madness, though. Going to redo the frame ladder in plain PETG because looking for more flex. PCABS was far too stiff. Well, and I wanted the stiff frame. I know that everything on the top is made to basically bend, but it's not the frame bending, it's the axles and the portal axles that are able to bend and move around independently. So, yeah. 2 M2x12 screws. We're going to go through the holes in the ladder frame, through the side there, and into our gas tank. Yeah. All right, now we'll mount this on there. And this will slot in, this piece right here, that little piece that we put the reinforcing screw is going to slot into the side of, or that, there's a piece on this rail that it slots into. So it kind of keys everything together, which will add some additional strength to the whole assembly. See, here's, it kind of feels flimsy. It's kind of like when I'm building my airplane. It feels flimsy, but once you start getting multiple pieces put together, all of a sudden everything together becomes rock solid. All right. We're kind of almost out of pieces here. In fact, I'm just going to dump the rest of those out. and recover a bag. Not sure what that bag's actually from, but I try and keep a lot of those different size bags because when you're doing projects like this, it's great to be able to put a bunch of things together. So, side labeled with L, right? There's L. The other one is R. We're going to need the side that's L. And we're going through the outside of L at the countersunk holes with M2x16. Swap over to my shorter bit. And okay, those two are in. And then we're going to do the two from the other side. Oh, darn you. All right. And 20 slopes go towards the front. Part of the frame does this go on? Towards, okay, I see now. There you go. It kind of, so these three holes here are going over the heads of existing screws. So you kind of have to bow it out and lock it in, but then it kind of helps center this whole piece. And then we'll come back in with M2x16s, 4 from each side to secure this to the frame. So the first one in the rear kind of gets me aligned. Then I do the front one. I can tighten that one all the way down. And then just work the other two to make it all four on each side. And I get a bit of an angle here. Y'all can see a little bit more of what I'm doing. Hey, Nemesis Prime, how's it going? Thank you so much for having, what was it, Mad Dog Jeff send me the files. I had actually found one that was very similar and got a couple printed out for the shocks. What do I do with them? I have no idea where I put them. Wow, that's going to be a great day. Yeah, they were useful. They were definitely useful. Now repeat the screws for the other side. We already have that done. Now comes the fun part. We've got big gas tanks now. So the big gas tank pieces, of course I grabbed the wrong one, but these are going to be bays where you can house electronics and your batteries. So we're going to start with this one with the cutout towards this end. We're going to take an end piece and close it in. Just looking to see which pattern I want on the outside. So this was the end that was down, so I think we'll use this end so it at least matches. Looked like somebody tried to put a little bit of a rock guard protectant on it or something. We're going to do M2x8s. I think that's the first, maybe the second screw of the night on the floor. So we've been doing pretty good if we've gone, what, over 2 hours without putting the screw on the floor. All right. Trying to make sure that these are as tight as possible so we don't have gaps. Try and keep moisture and stuff out of these. And you know, I'm probably going to jinx myself again, but I am going to go ahead and do the other side as well. All right. Now it wants us to install this tank. It's going to go on this side. Okay. And these little tabs right here are going to go into these slots right there to help things line up. And that's going to line up with the whole of the tank itself. And that's going to allow us to pass cables through. So, we're going to install this. Place part on the frame. There's an interlocking system to hold it in place before installing the screws. M2 by 10, 3 times. Have I done a functional check with the motor and drivetrain? No. Partly because it hadn't told me to, and I'm following the manual, which yeah, it would probably be a good idea to test that, huh? I mean, I would assume that it's going to come before we put all the cab and everything on, because the first thing is, well, not the first thing, but it's part of what we're doing is putting some things in place. This tray will have electronics pieces to include the on-off switch, and the receiver will go up here, which is where all of our servos and stuff are going to go attached to. And then we'll have batteries and stuff that are going over here, so I don't think we're too far off of getting a functional check. Definitely by the next stream, which would be Tuesday, we would be doing a functional check regardless. And once again, there are pass-through slots here where you'll be putting wiring and stuff through. Slide the cover, it will snap in place, and the cover will go on such a way that the gas tap is towards the back, according to that. So this cover goes over here. This cover will go over here, just like that. M2x6 for the gas cap covers here. So can anybody tell me why it called for black or the same color on these, but on the tank over right under the muffler here, so this tank has a blue cap. Like, does anybody know trucking wise why you would have a different color cap? Or is that something specific just for the model? Def tank? Ah, there you go. That makes sense. Diesel back here, and this would be your def tank that would be used to, I'm assuming that would be almost like an automatic feed. So you just put it in here and it mixes as needed. Repeat the same step for the right fuel/battery tank. So we've got tanks. See, now we're into the routing. Route the front servo wire through the side opening right over here. So we need to take the servo wire, which we cannot get to now that we've got everything here. Put that over gently. Now let me see if I can't get to the servo wiring undone. Okay. All right, so servo wire pulled through. That was it, just servo wire there. Okay. Guess our smokestacks will get used a little bit later. Oi. The pain. That's gone. No, DEF is diesel exhaust fluid, doesn't go through the engine. It literally is sprayed into the exhaust. Okay, so is it to like do something chemically to, is very bad if the two get mixed, as DEF will crystallize in diesel and destroy the fuel system. Got you. So is it an emissions thing then, trying to reduce some of the carbon dioxide coming out? Repair some 3M tape. I don't remember seeing any 3M tape in the kit, which is sort of surprising because normally LDO kits will have anything and everything. But you know what? there. Hey, Waters, how's it going? Long time no see, my dude. Long time no see. Hey, Waters, how have you been, my friend? Number one. Number two, we still need to get together because I need to get some leaflet juice from you. What am I looking at for? Did we have any tape in here? No. We do have window panels. Now, I cut windows for the one cab that I have built already, but when we build the other cab, we will use these and we'll build that other cab on here. Okay, so there is no 3M tape here. So we'd have to use some, procure or use some double-sided tape from our own stash. That's no big deal considering everything else that's in this kit, from shock oil to pre-made extension wires to, the hex drivers, the little hex wrench for the nuts. We're good. Pre-made windows. I can deal with a little tape not being here. I say that and then I'm like, where is my tape at? M tape. I know I just used it recently. Not there. Oh, there it is. I know I saw it. You believe the tape comes with the receiver? They would have opened the receiver package to put it in there? So battery box has just LiPo battery. And folks, let me tell you, $30 meters. The parts we print with the yellow is 8 grams. 30 meters. The parts we print with these for the headlights and that taillight piece is 9 grams. All right? This is more than I get with new printers. And I didn't even use the red. Like I said, I used some red that I had already on hand. Once again, there's the servo wire extensions and the battery parallels and all that good stuff. You know what? I'm not going to dig in there. I'm not going to dig in there. We'll just use some 3M tape that I've got. That's fine. That might just be some thinner double-sided tape, but we'll be okay. The 20-gram sample with A-series printers is exactly. Well, and I can't remember what I might have one over here. Yeah. PLA Rapido, 20 grams. This came with the Max 4, which has a build volume of 390 by 390 by 340, and you give me 20 grams. Like, what's the point at that point? Just put a note on the box and say, bring your own filament. at that point. It's like embarrassing. All right, so it wants us to stick the on-off switch middle tray right over here by the servo. So it's going to want us to put the on-off switch right here. And by the way, the on-off switch, programming port as well. Sweet. Now if I can get this back in there. There we go. So a little bit of double-sided tape. We'll mount that right there. This will be our on-off switch, which will be accessible from the engine or under the hood in the engine bay. For an RC kit, you got a lot. Most hobby grade RC kits are just the chassis, suspension, and driveline. No rims, tires, or electronics. Exactly, dude. We have, all right, fine. So we've got the battery. We've got the battery charger, right? We've got the 6 wheels with the foam, right? With the foam for rock crawling. Now there are printed inside or printed TPU inners that you can use. I printed them out before I realized, because I printed everything before I got the kit, that there's going to be foam in the kit or in the tires in the kit. We've got an FS GT5 digital proportional radial control. And this should have the transmitter, the receiver, grip, transmitter. There's our receiver, which has no sticky for it. Transmitter, still no sticky. So there's the transmitter. Pretty simple. In fact, yeah, no, we'll use this. I was going to say we could probably use the one that we have for the drag racers, but we'll just have to label them what they go to so it's easy to track everything down. So yeah, still no tape in here, but that's fine. Like I said, I can come up with some tape. That's the easy part. Oh. Okay. So, say that and then I lose sight of where I put tape. Let me grab some scissors. So Waters, are we going to possibly see you tomorrow at the Maker Meetup? We don't need a huge amount here. And using VHB tape is probably way overkill on this. All right, there we go. All right, cool. All right, there we go. Now, I just put that down there and I am kind of between those wires, so I probably should have just looped it around versus doing what I just did. So let me see. It hasn't fully set yet. Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. The kit is well worth it, in my opinion, if you don't already have it, right? Did they cut down the foam to size? When I sourced the same wheels, that was a requirement for a proper tire operation. Good question. I mean, it looks like it's fully cut to the size of the center hole. So Mike died. Mike is now going to be filling out like there. Use something. Give me 1 second for these. Down and grab it. Um, you had to remove foam and replace it with the width. Probably a later step. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll look into it. And I did print the 3D like inside or TPU inners. So if I have to, I can use those as well. So receiver. Like I said, I can't put this where they're suggesting because there's now these built-in cable ties. So rather than put it like this and move it over where it may interfere, I'm going to kind of go front to back, which will allow me to give it some ample room. So the front servo wire goes to channel. Okay. Yellow goes towards the inside. I'm assuming we'll do some cable management up in here a little bit later. Connect the motor wire to channel 2. Be the one coming motor. Even though I can't bring it straight, I am. Just like servo extension cable. Servo extension cables, one long port. We do the short wire to cable 3 and bring it through the side here. Wire up here. Assuming then we'll use our connector, making sure that we put the colors in order. So. Okay, it shows the wire coming over the tank. I'm actually going to route it under the tank because these are all our zip tie points down here. Routing it along and underneath the tank will be the best way. Do this wire. And join the extension with all of the colors going in the same direction. Go. Prepare some zip ties. Also, do not remember seeing any zip ties. Zip ties from something else. Once again, we're going to use the dedicated wire cutouts here to do our zip tie. These are probably way longer than they need to be, but fine. One here. Don't know if anything else would need, well, probably route that under. If we did any like lighting, we can add it down through here. It would obviously be, you know, like, hey, cut the zip tie, put a new zip tie, have you, or there's enough room here to put a couple. I'm gonna keep these fairly loose for right now. All right. This way, do frame. Dedicated cut wire to the zip tie. Yep. That wire. Run it through the hole rather. Remove the battery cover. That looks like trunk shock mount. So they're opening up this one for the battery cover. Put our XT60 parallel connector. Or you can use a parallel connection to store multiple batteries. Okay. We only have one, so take this one, male end, female connector comes through, female end, male connector stays in here. Oh yeah, yeah. I know better than to leave the batteries in and plugged in. This will go there. I'm going to assume that we're probably going to latch these down. Hey, look, prepare some zip ties and secure the battery cable. So, one right there. One there and one here. Good way of zip tying on either side of the connector. Provide good strain relief. Also means you're going to have to probably cut these every time you need to disconnect here. There are some tie downs here. Motor here. Does want motor wire tied down here. Ready? Clamp all the zip ties. Okay, make them tight. Again, if you're going to be running lights, you can run them through here. Just redo your zip ties. Okay. Battery compartment can fit up to 7,100 milliamp batteries. Now, if you've got plenty of room in there, if I remember right, aren't you supposed to pad those battery packs? Keep them from jostling around? LiPo is very dangerous. Make sure the cap is fixed with the M2x6 because any longer and it can protrude in and damage the battery. Now we would be at endpoint calibration for the 6x6. Folks, I'm going to call this a night right now. I think what I am going to do though is grab the rock guards because those are starting to deform some. It's starting to get a little chunky. There we go. We are off the rock guards now. Mostly off the rock guards. This shock just fully extended out. Okay, so we may be looking at one of these shocks. I don't know why the front one is fully extended out, so I'll have to take off that one shock and take a look at it. Probably do that tomorrow. Why such a small RC model? Yeah, Adam, how's it going? Fun, neat guy. Yeah, so we're doing the Unimog. We're doing the Unimog. Dragon's trying to kill himself. Doing part where? Stepping on. Not really. But I think this becomes a good stopping point for the night. Yeah, Pat, that's what I thought was like, if I remember from when I was doing RC aircraft, you would wrap the tank in foam so it was fairly well held in place. You would do the same thing with the battery because you didn't want it sliding back or forth, especially when you're flying aircraft. Yeah, I figured the same thing would apply to like a rock crawler. So. All right, so battery is going to be charging overnight. We made some killer progress today. Like I said, I'm going to have to look into these shocks. I don't know why it's fully extending the. It won't matter once we put wheels on it. The wheels are going to hold it up, but you get my point. I'm just trying to keep them off of the rock guards here. And I just don't know why this one's extending more than the others. We will get into this in the next we'll get into doing the endpoint calibration on the next stream, which will wind up being Tuesday. I think this becomes a good place to stop. We did 2 sections today. We did section 4, which was the bumpers and shocks and all that. And then section 5, which was finishing up the frame. We've got most of the wiring done. Yeah, motor, both steering channels. Not much else left, right? So we need to check and calibrate the steering and validate the steering angle. Make sure they go in the opposite directions. Too many words. right now. We're going to leave that alone. Um, Everybody, thanks for being here this evening and hanging out. Nemesis, thank you for all of the good suggestions and pointers along the way. That's great. I think we've got plenty of good things going on here. Like, I really want to, I'm thinking like about how we can do the lights. So now that's in my mind of trying to figure out about lights. But yeah. All right. Thanks, Eagle. You have a good night as well. But everybody, thank you for being here. Have a great night. Am I getting here at the end of stream? You are Down Under Maker. We've been going for 3 hours. Mike's died. We're now running Mike just sitting here on the table because I have to run it from a battery pack. And yeah, we made. Here, let me pop this for you, Down Under. So we now have springs installed, shocks installed, bumpers are installed. The quote unquote air tanks, the gas tanks, the steps for the cab, and the rear mud flaps for the wheel wells. So we just connected up the front servo, the rear servo, the motor. We're ready to kind of go that next step. We're going to validate the turning radius or the movement of the front and rear axles. And then, yeah, we'll be off to the races. The next stream, which will be Tuesday night, we will probably be in a position where we can apply power and see if our gearbox self-destructs or if it actually turns wheels. That'll be pretty cool. Like the turning wheel part, not the self-destruct. So I'm assuming that we're doing all of this steering geometry calibration by hand without actually applying any power. Ooh, then we get to do wheels and tires. This will teach me to not channel an ADHD focus into a Fusion 360. Ah, yes. Oh, hey, Nemesis, here you go. If the foam insert that comes with the AliExpress tires is too large, you can cut the foam insert to a width of 40 to 45 millimeters. Foam cut may lead to a wobbling. So it's not the inner diameter, it's more of the width of the foam itself. Compress the TPU insert and push inside the tire. So see, I've got the printed out. So it might just be pulling the foam out of the tires because we'd have to do that anyhow if we need to cut them. And we've got TPU tire inserts. So I think we'll do this. We'll just take the foam out and we'll do the tires with the TPU insert. We get to install the tire on the rim and the rim plate, do all that fun stuff. Holy bejesus, 20 4 freaking screws in that times 6. I know, too many screws, but how cool they look. Yeah, they look cool, but dang. Then the wheels go on, and then we put in the tiny, tiny freaking nuts. We do that 6 times. I feel so sorry for people that do mechanic work and maintenance on. But hey, if everything goes well, we should have wheels and tires on by Tuesday night. And I'll read through the calibration steps to see how easy or hard they'll be. So, awesome. Well, everybody, thanks for being here and going on this build journey with me. This is a killer freaking build. This is awesome. And of course, once we have power, we have steering, we put wheels on this thing, it's driving around the store. I'm going to have to figure out a way of rigging up a camera on it and just rolling around the store. But thanks everybody for being here. Everybody have a great night. And I will see you all on Tuesday. I guess I should throw a camera on it. I'm Digital Dragon, pro streamer, who's tired. But thanks everybody for being here. Have a great night. We will see you again soon. Those of you in the area, if you can make it, we have a maker meetup going on tomorrow from 12 to 7, full day opening hours. Come on out, check out the Unimog, check out the 3-foot X-Wing fighter that we just finished last Saturday, and just come out and hang out. Have a good time. Take care all. We'll see you next time. Bye now.